My parents, both Holocaust survivors, having come to this country in 1950 with nothing and what I would describe as no history, because their history was wiped out like so many others, and possibly what they thought was no future. And they taught me from a very young age that this country gave them and us everything. So I think that's a big part of what drives me, just to contribute in whatever little way that I can.
When one feels passionate about the community and passionate about doing something about it and showing leadership, well, Phillip's the first to step up to do that.
My dad used to go and watch Hakoah play. He took me along from when I was a very young boy, and I was immediately fell in love with it. No, my mum was a great supporter of mine in terms of my sporting endeavours. She was the one who said to me when we were talking about careers when I was young, and I said all I wanted to do was be a professional footballer, and she said, "That's great, but finish your education first." Well, I've got a lot of interests, but my real passion is football. You know, at high school, we used to get to school early and play football in the playground. We used to play football at lunchtime, and we'd often meet after school and have a kick around there too. I was very involved in helping find the right teacher that was prepared to coach the game. I managed to convince our coach and our school to let us play for the school in a Hakoah first grade strip with a Mogan Dovid and an H on the side, which I spoke to the coach from Hakoah and some of the administrators who we knew, and they allowed us to borrow a strip, top, shorts, socks, and anything that gets stuck in there as well. And we had to wash that strip, so I was involved in going around all the boys and raising the money to wash it, which in those days was 50 cents. If you look at my some of my diaries, there's very little homework in there.
Yeah, he kept a diary and he did 3-2-1. He rated the players.
I used to award points for each of the players, keep a record of their appearances, goal scorers, a little summary of every game that was played, including school games, weekend games, and of course Hakoah first grade games, and Australia's games, and the EPL, because I've been following Manchester United since 1967. So I describe it as an illness. I played for Hakoah as well for many years. I played there, as very proud in the third grades and the under-18s. Many of us who played at that level went to join Maccabi.
When Sydney City, as they were known at the time, left the National Soccer League, it was Wolanski and his cohorts who approached the Hakoah club to continue using the Hakoah name under the guidance of the Maccabi Senior Soccer Club to play in the State League. Eventually, this club became Maccabi Hakoah Feds FC, who today still play as Hakoah in the National Premier League. Phil Wolanski is still the patron of this club today.
Phil and I go back many, many years. We've accomplished a lot administratively at Hakoah, at Maccabi, Maccabiahs, but most of all, we just cherish our friendship together.
Phillip Wolanski has attended 6 Maccabiah games, 3 as a player and 3 in management roles. He was an integral part of the 1997 over 35 side, which to date stands as the only Australian football team to have ever won a medal at the games.
I think I've served every position at the club, putting up the nets, being the treasurer, being the vice president, being the president, being on the committee. Very fulfilling, at times very onerous and difficult, but that was the start, really.
Wolanski has also held many other community positions: a governor of the Hakoah Club, director of Sydney FC, a non-trustee director of the JCA, director of NIDA, and chairman of the Wolanski Foundation, which donates to various Jewish community groups and to projects in the arts.
Frank Lowy was being approached by the government to re-enter the game and help fix all the problems. I had actually had discussions with Frank about it and urged him to do it. I didn't really expect to be involved. I was very fortunate to be offered an opportunity to join the board.
And it was really his responsibility to guide the board on football matters.
Phil was head of delegation at Football Federation Australia for 11 years. That encompassed 3 World Cup campaigns.
His commitment to the Socceroos created unprecedented success.
Phill was there to celebrate in the good times, but he was also a shoulder to cry on in some of the tough times.
What an incredible person. He's a father figure to so many of us, some grandfather figure. Of course, I always give him stick about his age.
He had a deep, deep knowledge of the players, a deep commitment personally to assisting the players to succeed. He worked very closely with the coaches.
The dedication that he showed was much appreciated by each group of players and staff through that 11-year period.
Phillip has the country at his heart, he has the game at his heart, and everything he does is with deep passion, deep dedication, deep commitment.
Football teaches you about discipline, it teaches you about getting on with people, you know, not to take shortcuts. And I've been very, very fortunate to both play the game and take those things forward into administration, to be involved in the management side at Maccabiah. And one of the great things about that is having been able to share that with my son. To march with him at the opening ceremony was something I never dreamed possible, and a wonderful, wonderful lifetime enriching and happy moment for me.
I know for a fact that your mother will be so incredibly proud of what you've accomplished. Well done.